Welcome to the Tact Talks podcast. It's a place where some of the most innovative and fastest growing companies in the Northwest are coming on board to tell us what they're doing behind the scenes, but also to hopefully impart some wisdom to people pursuing a career in technology. And I'm joined today by Amelia Bampton from Codurants. Thank you for coming on.
That's all right. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So just to kick us off, I guess, could you tell us a little bit about Amelia and what you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Amelia. I'm Regional Director for UK North for a company called Codurants. Codurants are a software consultancy, and as well as the office in Manchester, which I run, we've also got offices in London and Barcelona as well.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, you pulled the short straw getting Manchester out of Barcelona and London.
Although I am very biased. I love Manchester. So yeah, it's a great place to work and live.
Absolutely. And look, you've had again, just from stalking your LinkedIn, you've had an astounding career. I guess, could you just walk us from how you got to the point where you are now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my pleasure. So totally fell into technology. I think, when you're back at high school and you've got your options, I don't know if anyone does that anymore. I'm probably showing my age, but definitely technology was probably one of the first things to go. It just wasn't an area that I could align myself to at that kind of time in my career, but or in my kind of school years. And then, I fell into it. I was very interested in business though, and I went to college and I did a business course. And then so when I went to university, I just naturally kind of gravitated towards the more business degrees. But what I hadn't quite appreciated at the time was the business degree that I had gone for at Liverpool John Moores was quite, it was still a BA ONS, but it was weighted with a little bit more of that technology theory that we were seeing definitely in the early noughties coming in about how business and tech are no longer separate. They are as one, and your tech is going to drive your business regardless of whatever industry that you work in. So I kind of found myself doing these modules that were very kind of tech related, and I started to understand the theory to how tech could drive businesses in the age we were at, is kind of like the .com age, so to speak. So, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it, really enjoyed that aspect, moving away from the more traditional kind of HR marketing type business courses. So at that point, it's mad, isn't it, really, how just a decision like that, choosing your degree, choosing your university. And I think I was more focused on kind of the city rather than the degree at the time. You're at that age where those things were important. Yeah. And it put me on a path, did my degree, enjoyed it so much, and then followed on to do a master's in Leeds. Again, just trying to give myself a little bit more of a competitive edge. It's very competitive in the graduate space, and I was aware of that. So I did my master's for a year in Leeds, which again harnessed that business and tech. It was like an information management master's. Loved every minute of it. And then it eventually was time to get a job. And when I say I fell into tech, because I'd had that opportunity at university to study tech and business, I found myself applying for graduate roles, and there was a company at the time, is no more, again show my age, Logic is CMG it was, but it was a global software consultancy of a very large scale, and I took on a role as a business analyst. I didn't know at all what that role entailed. All I know, it was kind of, there was a salary attached, and I really did need to start paying back the bank of mum and dad at some point. So I took this role in London, and it just exposed this working world to me, which I just thoroughly enjoyed. I was, as the business analyst, the conduit between the tech teams and what we were trying to deliver for our clients and the business, and using everything I'd learned at UZ to translate kind of client needs into technical requirements, and vice versa, technical problems or issues with the delivery back to stakeholders and clients. And I found that was my sweet spot, really. Is just, I love people, I love tech, and I'm quite good at communicating with different people in different ways. So it kind of put me on my career path, where I ended up working for the companies back in Manchester, like the M Brown Group, doing that business analyst role, primarily in the e-commerce space. And then from there, I kind of went into more managerial positions with Vodafone, managing the business analyst team. Then that scaled a bit and it was the business analyst and project management team. And then I kind of set my path, my path moved into a more project management space, and I got that exposure at Vodafone. And then I kind of spent some years at ThoughtWorks as well, doing that consultancy from a business analyst and project management perspective. So yeah, and then from ThoughtWorks, found the role and opportunity with Codurants that kind of really harnessed everything that I've just mentioned, that kind of career path I'd been on, but gave me the opportunity to kind of focus and reach into some new areas, which was really exciting for me because I'm really passionate about personal growth. So it gave me that opportunity to continue my own career.
Yeah, and from a recruitment perspective, recruiting for Codurance is a really, really easy sell because it's such an attractive business. You know, just the way they do things. Sandra and Mash have created a really amazing business. They really haven't. Obviously, you'll know that. What sold you particularly on Codurance?
Yeah, sure. It's a really good question, actually. It's just the culture, I suppose, and everyone speaks about the culture and the people and the kind of quality of everything we do and how we and everything we approach with our client engagement. So I realized those values were kind of quite were aligned to my own. And it was mad because just when I went through the recruitment process, and it was all in the COVID era, so it was all remote. I still haven't met very many of my colleagues, even though they've seen the inside of my house. And, you know, they've met my kids during different lockdowns. But so it was quite a different approach, more personal approach to working, isn't it? Us all being remote. But definitely. Whenever I had those interviews online, every person I met, I really got on well with, and it was more of a conversation than any kind of interview, so to speak. And I just felt very at ease with everyone there, and I felt really aligned to where they were trying to take the company and the growth that we're seeing and the trajectory we're on. I really felt quite passionate about enabling that for the Manchester office. And yet, almost a year in, I've had nothing but great fun and great learnings as a result of that opportunity.
Amazing. And what's going on at Codurance at the minute? Because you're hiring pretty heavily.
Yeah, it's great. It's very busy. We're hiring across all three of the offices that I mentioned. The great thing is we're hiring into a number of different roles as well, which is quite exciting. From the background that I've had coming from that delivery manager, business analyst space, and working in previous companies as cross-functional teams, I can see the value to clients of us being able to, land those cross-functional teams to be able to kind of build out new products or modernize their current software stack. So yeah, we're hiring obviously always great engineers for our craftspeople, but also now product people, business analysts, delivery managers. So it's a great space to be because there's great demand for our services, and it's great to bring people into the company to kind of help us meet the current client needs and help us move forward as a company for that kind of future opportunities as well.
Yeah, and without sounding cheesy, you are a consultancy, but I would say you're different in a way that, because as soon as you mention a consultancy, someone, they go, oh no, I don't want to be shipped all over the UK and be this place, whatever. You guys aren't like that, right?
Yeah, and I almost, it's such a USP of ours, and coming, like I said in my kind of career and management summary, I've worked for 2 different consultancies where travel, was always part of the agenda, should we say. And as much consulting is great, but it's intense when you're at certain points and you're doing that Monday to Friday away from home. Obviously, all pre-remote working kind of scenario back in the day. But it's great how when I got introduced to Codurants and I was talking to them about their services and how they work, the fact that they, work with more regional based clients so that their people don't have to travel is amazing. That's such a great selling point. So you can have the great exposure and learning opportunities that for me, you only get with a consultancy, working with that multitude of different clients and getting those different experiences. You get all that without the travel. Yeah. I was like, brilliant. It's such a win-win, isn't it?
And is that because of the kind of companies you work with? Because you work with some fantastic companies. I mean, like big names. Like a Kazoo. This is on the website, isn't it? So I'm allowed to say.
Yeah.
Kazoo, Amazon, right?
We have done, yes. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There's so many big
Mango, Asos. Yes. Yeah, some really great, fantastic brands.
Is that because those brands are fairly modern and fairly kind of remote? And is that why you think the remote aspect works?
I think definitely the clients are always, I mean, it's such an interesting conversation. It's almost, you could split it into two halves, that the kind of remote working era where, you know, we still would have been on client site. Maybe they were regionally based and we kind of made that work. Working in tech, I always feel we've had a little bit of an edge on the remote working. It's lended itself better even pre the past year. But then, you know, to look at it, you know, bring it back to current day, clients have been so receptive of this remote working model that we've all had to adhere to. And I'm excited to see what the future looks like in terms of, you know, some clients will be comfortable with full remote going forward. And that's great. That's great for Codurants. That's great for our people because it gives us the flexibility, really. Every client has different needs. And so you're having that conversation individually with each client about what it looks like going forward in terms of a more blended model. And that's the great fun that you get working with any consultancy. It's finding that balance. I always visualize everything, you know, as a Venn diagram. It's finding how we can make things work for our clients, our people, and the company at the same time. And I think that's going to be the space we move into with that kind of more hybrid and remote working model going forward.
Incredible. Brilliant. Yeah. And so one of the great things about Codurance, and it's everyone who's had experience with Codurance will vouch for this, is the fact that quality is a big part of what you do, of course, but culture. You guys are so big on culture. You're so close. With the remote working aspects of things, how are you continuing that culture? And because that's a tough one, right?
It's a tough one. It's such an interesting thing to reflect on and talk about. I think Codurants have done an amazing aspect of keeping that culture there. And it's, to be fair, I've only been in a year, so I've joined in this kind of new age, and I hear all these great stories about, you know, people getting together regularly and the meetups and obviously the communities that we ran and organised. And there's part of me that can't wait to kind of whenever and however it looks, kind of get back to that space a little bit. But definitely it remains, I think, the thing that really shone out to me when I joined the company was just how welcoming people are. And, you know, and that when I heard that reflected by other people that were joining, I thought it's consistent. You can feel that people are so generous with their time. Like I started and everyone was keen to kind of put some time in with me and introduce themselves. And I just really enjoyed that. And then once you're kind of part of the company and the culture, if you've ever got any questions, anything you're looking at that you want some additional advice on, you know, if you reach out, you know, across the company, there'll always be someone willing to kind of help you. Yes. And I think it's such a lovely space and community to be part of, knowing that, you know, people will come together like that. We flexed, we've tried different things. We still have, you know, regular monthly meetups where people can come and do lightning talks, you know, and we ebb and flow, we play around with what time of day they are to make it more inclusive for people. So we're always, you know, like every other company, you know, over the past year, finding our feet and iterating to find out how you can keep that culture alive. in this era and as you scale and grow as well. But the fact that, you know, I still feel very connected to the company, and I hear that feedback from other people that join in Manchester and in the other offices too, gives you the right indicator that we're still doing something right. But we're all still always learning and trying new things to see if we could be doing it any differently or better.
Amazing. And is there any particular projects that are coming up or anything that you can tell us, or is it top secret? It's okay if it's secret.
The pipeline is busy.
Okay,
I
good.
probably and the great, which is great. It's always great to know that you're reaching out, you're resonating with people in the market, and people are keen to kind of have you to help them scale and grow, and you know, through the services we offer. The other great thing though, in terms of what's going on, is so many of the clients we're in with, you know, continue to require more of our services. It's sort of kind of like, it's really of a credit to the Codurance ways of working and the quality and the level of service we provide. You kind of, when you're in with a client, you see that demand increase. So you can see, you know, client engagement, meaning that you have a larger account over time in that space, which is a fantastic compliment, really. And yet there's that word of mouth element that someone might recommend you, and that's where you find a new client engagement that's interested to work for you because someone's speaking highly of a project that you've delivered or still continue to deliver. So that's great. It's really busy. I enjoy it. I don't know what to do when it's not, you know, your days and weeks aren't super busy, but it's a very exciting place to be.
Brilliant. That's good to hear. Yeah, from knowing the people at Codurants, not being busy isn't a concern, I don't think, for anybody. That's good. Okay, fair enough. So, and look, I guess two separate questions for you because of how passionate you are about people getting into technology, but also from someone who has progressed so like kind of amazingly through her career. What advice would you have for someone who is perhaps in technology, might feel a bit stagnant and is maybe looking for a move, or what are your secrets?
What are my secrets? That's a whole different podcast, but I think, you know, I am so passionate. I think because there is an element, like it was a bit of a sliding doors moment. Getting into tech, you know, like I said, I did this degree, didn't quite know what it entailed at the time. And then you find yourself kind of 16 years later doing the job you do, and you think, God, it could have been a whole different career path. But now I'm in it and I love it. I'm very passionate about other people finding that space, you know, should they want to find their space in a career in tech. Because I think my kind of mission in life is to help people find a job that really lights them up and they want to get out of bed for every day. And if that happens to be in tech, well, how can I help you make that happen for yourself? So I'm very passionate about that because we spend so much time at work. It needs to be valuable, kind of self-validating time that you enjoy. So I'm passionate about that. And it's about, so how do you help people do that? I also am quite passionate because I think people have preconceptions and stereotypes, what roles there are in tech and what you have to be or have done to find that career in tech. So part of that passion, I really like to share with people. Like, I've worked in tech for like nearly 20 years and I'm not a developer, but I class myself as someone that works in tech. So and to be honest, the number of different types of roles have only grown over the 20 years that I've worked in there. Sure. You now see people from a more UX perspective. You know, you've got your business analyst. Great. Product is an area that's kind of blown up in the time that I've worked in tech. You know, we weren't talking about product back in the early, not well, someone probably was somewhere, but you know, it hadn't filtered down to kind of the space that I was working in. So tech, that's a great thing about it. It's ever evolving, ever changing. And as a result, the types of roles you get are always changing. So it's, to your point, if someone's feeling stagnant, how, you know, always take the time to step back. Like, I think too much of us are rushing around every day. You know, yes, I'm busy, but you have to make the time to step back and reflect and really look at where you want your career to go, but not necessarily like, a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan, because there've been times where I've really struggled to answer that myself, and I'm very a career-minded person, and I'd be like, I don't know. But I would say just take the time to step back, maybe visualize your day. What do you want your day to look like? What do you want to be doing? And say, what do you think's going to light you up? And then maybe when you have that vision, you can then see what kind of roles might support that. And then, just always, I'm very passionate about people owning their career. So you are in control of your own destiny. So make that happen for yourself. If you're in a company and you feel another role when you've done your visualization is going to light you up, speak to someone. No one is going to help you or support you in your career plans if you don't share it. Sure. So I'm really passionate about people kind of having an idea where they want to go, and then looking at the small things that you can do every day, every week to move you closer to that. I've worked with so many people over my career that have made those changes. I've had developers that have moved to business analyst roles. I've had, QAs that have moved into development roles. I've had, I myself went from being a business analyst to a delivery manager to now someone who's kind of less delivery, more operational. It's always a bit of an ebb and flow, but just give yourself the time to reflect on where you think you want to go, and then do some tangible actions that are always, even if they're small steps, going to move you closer towards that. And a piece of advice I used to get approached a lot when I was in my management position at Vodafone. People coming from different parts of the business. How could I be a business analyst? How could I get a job on your team? And, it's a bit of a career change for the role they were doing. I'd be like, go and have a look what's in the market, what are on the specs for business analysts. See what part of that role you've already got in your locker that are just natural to you. They're your natural style or skill set. What are you doing in your job today that's transferable? And then come back and talk to me about what the gaps are. What have you kind of not had the opportunity to do yet that is required to kind of as an entry into this role? And let's work out an action plan for how you can kind of, reach into those gaps and those development areas. And that's where, it's in your gift to drive that.
I love that. Yeah. I think if you want to get to a certain point, if you don't write it down, I think writing down's a big one.
Yeah.
But actually having a plan to go towards it, you can wander around aimlessly for years. I bet, right? And I'm sure you've seen it throughout the years, people who said they want to do something but never take any steps towards doing it, and that's the first step, isn't it?
That is a differentiator. Yeah, you're right, Jack. There was many people I had that conversation with, those that came back and you would get there. Many people didn't want to do the actual applied action to take them in that direction. And you've got to, like I say, you've got to own it. But it's interesting what you say about writing it down, because I feel, and this is why I'm so passionate about people kind of taking the time to step back and reflect. As much as I struggle with long-term plans, I'd written down a bit of a career development plan as part of one of my previous roles. And there was things in there that I wasn't getting exposure to at the time. It was about being connected to the Manchester tech scene. It was about supporting people to find their right career in tech, opening up the kind of barriers that people might perceive to tech. And I wrote down that as part of my role, I wanted to do more in this space. But at the time, that would always be over and above the job that I was doing. Does that make sense? And as a working parent, there's not always that much spare time in any week, but I wrote it down and it was kind of collecting virtual dust on my hard drive somewhere. But yet when I found the job at Codurants, to kind of going back to that point, it was, when you read a job spec, you must hear this all the time in recruitment, and people are like, oh my God, it's almost like word for word my CV. Yeah. There's just that magic where you're like, and I read the job role, and I reflected on this career development plan of everything that I wanted to be doing over the next few years. And it was just such a synergy. I was like, this is the role. This is the role for me. This is where I'm meant to be. And here I am a year later, and it's been great. Yeah, it's the magic.
Wow, amazing. Okay, and one question I always like to ask: if you didn't get into technology, what would you think you'd be doing right now?
God, it's It's mad, isn't it?
Because like I said, like, there was just one decision.
It's one decision. It was more about the university city than probably the course itself. I was also I really enjoyed economics when I was at college, and there was an economics degree in Leeds, which obviously I didn't end up doing at the time. Yeah, could have had a whole different career in some kind of more financial aspect.
Wow.
But you've got to believe in destiny and divine timing, divine intervention, and this is where I'm meant to be.
If nightlife was better in Leeds, you would be an economist right now. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I still got to Leeds though, don't forget. The nightlife in Leeds was very good. My friend did go to Leeds and I did appreciate the nightlife, and I did end up doing a year there. I told my dad it was purely for the competitive edge in the graduate market. I still had a good time as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. Why not? And you know what, again, talking about starting your career, I know one thing you're passionate about is getting people from all walks of life into tech. And, you know, I guess, yeah, I mean, any advice for people that are wanting to get into tech who are, you know, nowhere near it right now, but want to explore it?
Yeah, no, it's interesting because there was a point, you know, where I was in London and I was surrounded by a lot of people that had been through maybe private education, which is a route I didn't take with high school or college and what have you. And I thought, oh, haven't I done well to kind of, you know, get onto one of these graduate schemes? I didn't go to, they weren't red brick universities. So, you know, I thought, well done. And then it was only, you know, when I was doing some community outreach initiatives and I'm stood in a room full of high school students from a deprived area of Manchester. I'm talking about my route into tech, and I'm thinking, this is so unrelatable potentially to a number of people in that room. And it was a bit of a light bulb moment that actually, even though I thought I'd done quite well to find the career I've got, you know, I was so blessed in so many aspects, having the opportunity to go to university and to do a master's as well, that I was like, well, let's take this experience and this light bulb moment I'm having, and how do I flip it on its head so I can mean that isn't that path that I took. It doesn't have to be the most well-trodden path.
Yeah.
You know, and there's still so much to do, and that's why I try and, at the point I'm at in my career, give back my time so that I can help. There's so many great initiatives out there at the high school level. There's so much going to try and encourage people, and girls in particular, into the STEM industries, and there's a lot of the large corporates that have programs as well that high school or college level you can be part of. So my advice to anyone is just really take the time to see what programs there are in your area that are supporting people in this space, because I think you'll find that there's probably quite a lot. You know, I'm sure the demand's quite high, but again, it goes back to that intention and that following through on the actions. You know, so many times in my career you think, oh God, wouldn't life be easier if I didn't have to do that? But you take the breath, you dig deep, and you turn up with your CV and you say that, or you know, and that's what's moved me forward. So for people looking, I'd be like, do the things that feel uncomfortable. That is the differentiator. That's the stuff that differentiates you from the person that doesn't come back when you give them their first action. And people see that, and it will take you so far in your career.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, something you were saying before, and something we discussed the other day, was not all tech jobs are headphones on and crunching keys all day.
Yeah.
Some are, don't get me wrong, but like you said, there's so many different jobs you can do.
Yeah.
Especially a young woman in high school, you probably don't think about wanting to do that all day, but there's jobs like project management, BA, UX. There's so many different things.
It's great. I think there's space for everyone of whatever kind of career path you're looking for. Like, tech is across everything nowadays. when I reflect on, like I say, tech was one of the first options for me to drop at the time. I'd be interested to see. I know there's so much going on in that space in terms of all the coding camps and the kind of courses that are taught at high school and college level. I'd be interested to see, how it is positioned nowadays, because I know there is, there's so many people out there that are trying to change people's mindset about what that career path could look like working in tech. So I think it's great. I want everyone to come and, like I say, find the job they love and be lit up and enjoy getting up and doing it every day.
Yeah, and talking about people finding jobs, and you obviously get involved with a lot of the interviewing, which is incredible. When you are interviewing people, what do you tend to look for? Is it certain personality traits? Is it?
What do I look for? For me, it's about people. It's not all about your experience. I've had the career that I've been fortunate enough to have today because people have seen my potential. I don't always come with a CV that ticks every box. Right. And so, yes, I would say in answer to that question, what I look for is someone that has kind of the right amount of experience that, for the role itself, but it's a lot about aptitude and energy for me. Can this person reach into this area and learn and develop? They don't have to tick every box on the job spec. So yeah, it's a lot about someone's energy and desire and drive to kind of be the best they can be in that role. And it just shines through from people, to be honest, when you have those conversations. That's a little bit of the magic. I say with some of the people that I've hired in, 15 minutes into the conversation, you can see all of those things I've just mentioned. And you're like, brilliant. I know you're just going to, be off and running in this role, and I'm excited to see your career development for you. But yeah, without people having given me those breaks, I've been in interviews before and I've not done everything previously, but people have seen that I've got the energy and drive and willingness to kind of develop in those areas.
Brilliant. So in interviews, if you haven't got experience in something, be honest.
Yeah.
Don't try and blag it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But get that passion across, be curious and yeah.
Yeah, use examples where you have faced into maybe development opportunities before. It's again about that initiative to go and do something yourself, to just kind of own where you want to be. Like I say, when I was looking for my next role after Vodafone, I went to loads of different events. And like I say, be very nice to not hand your CV out and be like, hey, this is me, this is what I'm looking for. Those events are awkward at the best of time without having to, although I do miss them now, they've been taken away, but but yeah, that's what I had to do. I had to take a breath and be like, I'm going to have this conversation. And one of the people that I gave my CV to at one of these events, I was pregnant at the time, but say 9 months later, when my second was a little bit older and I was active in the job market again, they were the person that I reached back out to. They had my CV and I got the job with ThoughtWorks as a result of that. So yeah, just an event. Yes. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, it's that's the career making stuff, is doing the stuff. But to your point, yeah, don't blag it. Be honest. Like, it's another lesson I've really learn in my career, is to be my authentic self. I am quite different from a number of people I've worked with in the past, and there've been times where you try and hide parts of your personality because you think it doesn't fit, or you're trying to temper who you are to fit maybe a mold. And I've learned the hard way that actually, the best reception you ever get from anyone is when you're just your authentic self. Yeah. So to your point, in an interview, be your authentic self, be honest, but talk about, ways that you will reach into those development opportunities.
I love that. Be authentic. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a nice soundbite. And a last thing, because I'm conscious of time, but last thing, I think it was something I always ask candidates when I'm qualifying them for a job or a hiring manager, just to get an idea of the kind of person they are. And I, especially with Codurants, big on work-life balance.
Yeah.
When you're not at work building this incredible team, what do you do in your spare time?
What do? I do spend a lot of time. So the kids, obviously, but
What's
you know,
better?
given. And then for me personally, it's exercise, and that's various forms for me. It's either a session in the gym when we're allowed, or it's a run, maybe a bit more less so nowadays, or a cycle. Like, I'm total cliche in that respect. I dusted my bike off in lockdown, and I've loved every minute of it. And like this Sunday, I've got for the school, we're doing a road to Tokyo, and we've got to make certain miles up as a family to help with funding for the school. I'm doing a 50k bike ride in the 26 degrees on Sunday. Wow. So we'll see how that goes.
Amazing. Is that something you can donate to?
Well, we can donate to it for the PTA. Yeah.
Great.
And then, so that'll be good fun. So I love cycling. Yeah, I think because I spend so much time at work, it's about that contrast of head engagement and brain engagement. And I need the physical engagement to kind of offset it, to move the energy and to let the ideas come in. So I'm really passionate and trying to say to my team, make the time for whatever it means is you time to let the ideas drop in. Because if you don't give yourself that time and space, you don't always get the magic. So I do try and create time in my day for exercise and some time to kind of just open my mind and think about different things.
I love that. Fantastic. Well, Amelia, I think we're out of time, but what a wonderful conversation I've had with you. It's been great.
Thank you.
And really excited to see how Codurants grow over the next 18 months. It's going to be amazing. And thank you for coming down.
That's all right. Thank you for having me. A pleasure.
Cheers.